essentially having to...
Let's get going. We got this video by somebody in our community. Shout out to Hollow Shy. Let's see if I can actually give him a real shout out. Does it work? Yeah, click that follow button. And let's get to this video.
How to describe the fighting game genre, chances are you might hear the term niche, and I get that. Fighting games can give a rather unique first impression to the unsuspecting gamer. Just imagine, they go straight into a match and they're pitted against another person that just wails on them until death before they can even tell what's going on. Rough. Despite this, many fighting game series have managed to minimalize the initial discouragement through innovation and presentation, which is why the most popular fighters have been around for decades and have inspired many smaller fighting games to be created. However, what if one of these small fighting games had insane potential but obstacles that went beyond just being a hard game? Such a case did happen to Omen of Sorrow.
Has anyone heard of this game? I've never heard of this game.
Its all-time peak since being released on Steam a year ago is 11. Why such pitiful numbers? Before I introduce you to the game itself, I want you to be aware of the existence of two fighting games, Darkstalkers and Killer Instinct. What these two have in common are monsters, mummies, werewolves, robots, aliens. These creatures reign supreme in the rosters of both games. A franchise like Tekken will get the occasional dinosaur with boxing gloves, but the majority of characters in
I don't even know there was a dinosaur with boxing gloves.
With the devil gene, sure, but still human. The character designs in these two have been a large inspiration for the roster you'll see here. In this game, you got characters like Emotep, a mummy that can fill the screen with many obstacles and can take on a different stance that extends his reach.
What the fuck?
Adam, a test subject with electric specials and command grabs. Caleb the werewolf. This is just Saberwolf from another timeline, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Pretty much.
The human characters are pretty cool as well, like Erzabet, the game's puppet character with a giant blood dragon on their side and an infinite so easy that anyone watching this video could perform it.
Oh wow.
There's also two unlockable characters, the first being Taulessa, the main villain who attacks with shadows of all shapes and forms. Rio Hilda vibes here. The last character, in my opinion, is one of the coolest character designs I have ever seen in a fighting game.
What do we got here?
Oh my god, this MF is the biggest reason why I've even forked over the $20 to buy this game in the first place. The flame head, the tattered cape, the half steel, half fire sword. He even has like a million stances. Maybe it's a Dark Souls fan in me, but man, what a design. You can see where the character ideas are coming from. They contain a lot of inspiration from famous mythological creatures. The stages also look quite nice and stick to this eerie theme that complements the character design. Combine this aesthetic with its metal/horror soundtrack.
This doesn't look entirely bad, but I just can't see myself playing this.
Like Terrordrome. But as we all know,
what
presentation...
What was it? Omen of Sorrow? I think it's called Omen of Sorrow.
Isn't everything. What are the mechanics? Well, the game uses a 4-button configuration similar to that of the SNK fighting games. EX moves, alpha counters, and cinematic supers exist as well. Bold canceler allows you to cancel certain normals and specials into another special move if you have sufficient meter, allowing for combo extensions. But the one mechanic that makes Omen of Sorrow stand out is the Fate and Fortune mechanic. Sharing one bar, the two statuses are gained through various methods. Filling your bar entirely with either status will put you in one of two states. Blessed, which gives you beneficial properties, while Doomed is the exact opposite. You are essentially having to switch up your playstyle on the fly to accommodate for this meter. So far the game shows a lot of promise, so why is it so unpopular? Well, I hate to say it, but the pros stop there. By now I'm sure you've noticed the jank when you see the gameplay. Landed attacks don't seem to have much impact, as I'll demonstrate here. Wow, look at this move. Anyone getting hit by it will be sure to feel it. Yeah, the animations themselves are not quite polished. I mean, look at this. The movement is as clunky as it looks.
This game does look mad jank. No, so you said you get it. I don't know if this is a game you want to get. Yo, random fact, Cam, you redeemed a random fact. I will probably not be copping this game. That's your random fact of the night.
As an example, I want to show that when you land after a jump, you're quickly able to perform another action.
Yeah, nothing. I was just away for Easter. I was on the podcast though. You should have seen me on the podcast last night.
In Omen of Sorrow, however, there are just so many landing frames before you can move that it feels like you have billions of pounds weighing you down. Another problem is dashing forward. From my experience, dashing forward in fighting games has you either taking a big step or running continuously. Omen of Sorrow decides to combine these two, and the result is an extremely jarring transition between the two animations. There's also some typos in the menus and tons of graphical glitches present, giving the feeling that the game was rushed. And then you have some straight up weird decisions like how humongous these stages are.
He really played this game. Like he found all the
stuff. Injustice 2 stage lengths ain't got nothing on Omen of Sorrow. Observe, I'll go from one side to the other.
Takes 6 months to get there. What?
See what I mean? Content-wise, it's not so great either. In arcade mode, you have 9 battles and afterwards receive a wall of text for your ending, followed by this lovely message that I got twice from my PS4 while unlocking the secret characters. Story mode has a few decent looking cutscenes, but the bulk of it is just the characters standing there looking goofy while scrolling through the driest dialogue imaginable before a fight. Even after completing the story, I still got 99% of the gallery locked away. I actually have no idea how to unlock it as the game doesn't tell you, and looking it up got me nowhere. I even decided to suffer 192 more.
This game is wild, Chad. Don't buy this.
Through the game's survival mode, and all I did was unlock endless mode. I can only assume that you earn the rest by playing online. Speaking of, yeah, we all saw this coming. Damn, this game blows. By this point, I'm ready to sadly write this off as yet another indie fighter flop. But as I was doing research for the game, I found some rather interesting info regarding the game's history. So the game originally released in 2019 on PS4 and the Epic Game Store. Naturally, Steam users weren't too happy with being omitted and voiced their opinion to A1 Games on Twitter, the developer of Omen of Sorrow. Whoever ran that Twitter account decided to mock anyone who had complaints in such an unprofessional manner. Admit it, you are just salty because it isn't on Steam. XD. Now I understand that people don't like it when you're insulting their product, but arguing on Twitter through an official account is not the way to go about it. They must have a very emotional attachment to their product too, because over at Metacritic, someone had been creating fake accounts to pad the game's score with fake positive reviews. How can I tell? Well, click on most of these accounts and you'll see that Omen of Sorrow is the only game they reviewed. Pretty sus if you ask me. I also found an article from a few people who worked on the game saying that there were a lot of disagreements within the group, poor management from the higher ups, and layoffs that disrupted the game's development. Not to mention that the official YouTube account had a trailer for post-game content that showcased this.
He's not in the game.
Definitely lives up to his name because this trailer came out in 2019 and he's nowhere in sight. The producer posted a message on Facebook saying that the game didn't sell well, so the rest of the post-game content was pushed back to an unknown date. Omen of Sorrow came to more platforms about a year from me making this video, with crossplay and rollback included. But the first impressions that were made through the crusty gameplay and Twitter meltdown contributed to the game's downfall, I'm sure. Their Twitter has been silent for a while now, so communication might be off the table.
They're in Chile?
It really sucks because design-wise, the game has some real effort put in that has essentially been...
I mean, that does look cool. I'll admit that does look cool.
Wasted. Even the mechanics had potential that weren't realized until Street Fighter 6 came out with something similar. The drive gauge, bold canceling to chain certain moves together, that's drive rush. Being in a state that hinders you greatly, that's burnout. I can only wonder how things could have been if development was on a smoother course and didn't go the way of, say, NetherRealm Studios. Indie fighters still have the power to become some of the most fun fighting games, and it's not impossible for a game to go
I've never played this Power Rangers game.
Omen of Sorrow was already facing an uphill battle by adding to a niche genre, so hierarchy ladders in the development team should have been established first before deciding to execute their ideas. It's kind of like what Zoro from One Piece says.
A crew with no respect and a captain that doesn't demand it are destined to fall apart quickly.
But until then, I can only give the game a 3 out of 10, mostly because it has one of the sickest characters, and I hope this isn't the last time I see him. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I've never played Battle for the Grid. Oof, the rise and fall of Soul Calibur. This is too long. If we 2x speed it though, would you guys be interested in watching this on 2x speed? I kind of want to watch this.